I'm very happy to have a young expert with us. She is a climate researcher with a focus on the Indo-Pacific region. That's very interesting. Right now we have with us Aswani Dravid. Let's listen to her. Over to you, Aswani.
Thank you so much, Professor. So I absolutely am feeling very grateful to be here. And thank you so much for providing this opportunity, not just for me, but for many youth who are working and trying to create an impact in the world. I am Dr. Ashwini. I am currently an assistant professor at UPES, which is placed in the foothills of Himalayas in Dehradun, India. But originally, I hail from Kerala, from Thiruvananthapuram, or better known as Trivandrum. It's a very small, pristine coastal
After
town.
Shashi Tharoor, we all know how to pronounce it. Right?
If not the other English words, but at least Thiruvananthapuram. Yeah. So I am from that place. I spent all my childhood there. I went to school there. And post my 12th, I moved out of Trivandrum for my higher education. I have a bachelor's, a master's, an M.Phil and PhD in political science. My M.Phil was on India-Maldives geostrategic relationships, where I analyzed the changing geopolitical dynamics of India and Maldives relationship. But that was the time, 2012, 13, 14 was the time in which the Maldivian foreign policy was changing in favor of China. Like now it's in the news, but when I began the study, it was in the nascent stages. Then post that, I moved towards my PhD and I took up India's maritime security challenges in the Indian Ocean region as my topic because of, as a follow-up of my study between India and Maldives, which gave me a lot of clarity because when I started my research, my hypotheses, my study primarily focused on military and defense security risks for India. But further on, through analysis and speaking to experts and even doing ground research, I sort of realized that the major challenges for not just India, but many other countries in the Indian Ocean region really spring up from non-traditional security challenges, which are climate change catastrophes, induced catastrophes, which is like unprecedented, before these times, and piracy, it's springing up, and also maritime terrorism, rise in sea levels, and ocean acidification, which is affecting countries like Maldives and even our own Andaman and Lakshadweep Islands. So post that, I joined UPES in 2017 in the Department of Public Policy. And currently I'm associated with the School of Liberal Studies, where I offer courses on contemporary South Asia, applied international relations, climate and sustainability, and also energy for sustainable development. So these are the areas in which I am offering both core and elective courses. And my research is also in a way a mix of all these subjects. And I primarily research on security, human security, not just the national security, but because of climate change and the sustainability issues, and majorly from an energy transition space. Every country is trying to transition to renewable sources. For example, India is currently like the 4th largest economy in the world. In the next couple of years, we will become the 3rd. Now, to drive that and to kind of sustain that biggest economy, we need development. And already we are an energy deficient state. And 60 to 65% of our energy currently comes from fossil fuels. Even in our renewable energy mix, even if we say, let's say 10 to 12% of our energy mix is renewable energy, but even within that, majority is hydroelectricity. Now, we are looking at, like, I am staying in a state which is very hydro dependent, Uttarakhand. We have a lot of, like, because of Ganges and other sources of water, we have a lot of hydroelectric projects, both Uttarakhand and Himachal, the neighboring states.
Yeah.
So these places are hugely affected by floods.
Yes.
Probably because of all these dams that are constructed. And I mean, I am also staying in a place a couple of kilometers away is this whole town which is submerged underwater just for creating a dam called Tiri village. The new Tiri, the whole lower Tiri is within submerged. The whole town is submerged. People have been displaced to Dehradun and Rishikesh. And it's really heartbreaking when you go there and listen to people and their collective memory of those places. And it's a beautiful story, but also a very sad story. And coming back to the hydro dependency of India in the energy mix, so that kind of got me thinking on the policy. So I started looking at India's renewable energy policies. I started teaching that in my classroom, and we started looking at that to figure out why are we kind of getting stuck in our transition. Not just in India, in multiple other countries, the case is almost the same. But for India, because India's challenges are different, we are too vast a country with too much of population and at the verge of, that hyper development that we need to make now that we are the third largest. So that is a very interesting sphere to be. That's a very interesting area to study. And personally, I am also invested a lot in the discourse on sustainability. And one of the reasons why my PhD topic was on Indian Ocean region is because, as I said, I hail from Trivandrum. And all my childhood memory was of going to the beach, sitting there. And there's this beauty to the ocean that, you can go very moody and very depressed and sad, and you can come back with refresh. Like each wave that's coming to you, you sort of lose each of your pain. And all that beautiful memories I had as a child, as I was growing up, I started seeing, just as my memory is eroding, the coastline, the shoreline also started eroding. So there have been beaches where we went as children. There's no beach now. It's just the beach has come up. And there is the sea has actually come up, eaten into the beach, and it's just roads now.
Yeah.
Because of developmental projects that are happening, ports that are being constructed. That's also one of the reasons why my study is on climate change induced migration in the coastal region. So I study that. I've done my ethnographic studies where I've gone to these coastal places, I've lived with them, and I studied their stories and their experience, their lived experiences of the place. Where we also did a trip to Rameshwaram, Dhanushkodi, Kanyakumari region, where India has an ambitious offshore wind policy plan. We have a pilot project there. So I went to study and its implication on fishermen, fishing community, and what are their perception of this transition to Kudamkulam power plant that is happening. So one of my latest paper that has come up just like a couple of weeks back was on Kudamkulam power plant, and because there were people who died protesting for Kudamkulam power plant.
Yes.
So I looked at, when we look at the threats to the place, we again talk about military threats and defense threat. But major threat to Kudamkulam power plant is something in lines of the Fukushima incident that happened where the tsunami hit. And these are places where the tsunami actually happened a decade back. So those non-traditional security issues we analyzed, and it was through a funded project that I visited the place. And so sustainability of the oceans, the impact of it on the livelihood of the people are things that are very close to my heart and things that I want to work on. Because when I began my academic career in academia, the Indian academia, there was, and I think it's still in present tense, there is still a big gap between academic literature, policy literature, and of course the media literature.
Yeah.
And which is also creating a like compartmentalization of knowledge, which is affecting any sort of synergy that is possible to really resolve these issues. Both media, academicians, policymakers, everybody is working in their silos, which is in a way taking us away, alienating us from the cause that we all are actually working for. So that's something I am trying in my life by collaborating with people, and also not by writing in academic jargon. So I actually don't have that sort of a writing, even with effort. So my writing is not, very academic in style. So I use very simple sentences. And that also is because I come from a very humble background. I am raised by a single mother who she was alone, and she just got separated, and she got abandoned, and she didn't have anybody, just two girls, me and my younger sister. She's like 6.5, 7 years younger than me. So she was like just left with both of us and a job. So she kept telling us as girls, I will not have anything to give you like a property or anything, but I'll give you education. You guys figure out, have ambition. And also that your ambition should not just take you somewhere, but also can take others along with you when you progress in life. And I think as a child or as a teenager, I didn't really understand the depth of what she said, and I understood impact, but that my understanding was too narrow. But I think sitting at this age at 35, I think it is, I am understanding what she said a bit more deeper.
Okay, so can I stop you for a minute there? Yes. I want to say thanks to your mother. She done a great job, a fantastic job. I'm seeing you and I'm seeing your mother. Fantastic. Please say thank you to her for producing someone like you. Thank you to her. Okay, let's continue. Thank you. I hope she would listen to this. I'm sure she'll watch the video. Yeah. So I remember when we started, we also lived in a thatched house, like, because Kerala, right? Coconut leaf roof. And when it would rain, we would just go up to one corner, three of us hugging together like monkeys sitting, not getting the rain hit us. From there, I went to government schools all my life. I didn't pay for anything, but except my 11th and 12th, where I had to study humanities. I got really good marks for my 10th standard, and everybody assumed I would be taking science, but my heart was in humanities. But it was a difficult thing to convince people why I wanted to do social sciences. But I did join a private school just for those 2 years, because in government schools, even English is being taught in Malayalam. So when I joined the private school, I had to talk in English, but I was like, I could write, but I really didn't know how to talk. Yeah. I never had to. Yeah. So, and they would charge you fine for every Malayalam word that you use. So there was a time in which I had so much of fine, like some 2,000 bakka fine, and I was called to the principal's office. I went there, in my uniform and the tie, and I started crying. I said, I don't have money. I don't know English. So then she was so sweet. So she sat me down and gave me a couple of people with whom I can talk and learn and, practice. This was 11th and 12th. So soon after that, I left Trivandrum. So I went outside to Andhra to do my bachelor's, and then subsequently to Hyderabad for my master's in Hyderabad Standard University. So when you're again living with people of different, language, then you tend to learn how to talk. So that's how I learned how to talk in English. But the clock sort of turned when I joined here. And I had a student from Rajasthan. He was from Rajasthan, Haryana border. And so after the class is done, I was a young teacher, so they were the first batch. Like I joined 2017, they were 2017 first year students. So after class, they would come flock around to me to talk, about class, about this and that, hostel experience or something, to just chit chat.
And this boy would never come, he would just come till half and he wouldn't just come close to me to talk. So one day I called him to the side and asked, like, why are you not talking? Then he started speaking in broken English and in Hindi, saying that, ma'am, I don't know English to talk to you. And I really welled up, I said, you don't need to learn English to talk to me. Just try. And this boy, 3 years later, cracked his interview. So this is an undergraduate course. And then for PG, he cracked his interview by talking in English. And he learned English just to talk to me. No fines, nothing, but just an inspiration of, you're able to talk to your teacher more than what is being done in the class.
Yeah.
So then post this, I worked in media. So after my PG, I came back and I did my M.Phil from Kerala University and my PhD from Kerala University. Both education, I sort of funded it by freelancing in media. So I worked as a television anchor. I love yoga. So I taught yoga on television and prime time television at that time, like wellness yoga, morning, news ke saath. So that was again an interesting time. Now it's all trendy. We did this when it was not on trend, but it gave me enough money to sort of sustain myself, petrol for my vehicle, and myself, my books and my research. And so the reason why I said this is because when I have the tools to really do something impactful, there was a time in which I did not. And the only thing that took me from there to here was the belief in me that was installed, of course, by my mother, and also beautiful, wonderful people around me. Because there's a power to community. There is a power to affirmative words that people tell you, just like how you said. It really touched me because it's beautiful to hear that. And so there were people who helped me be wherever I am, and I want to do that for people. So I don't want to say these overarching words like being a voice for the voiceless, and I don't want to do that. But that being said, I also want to observe and bring forth the lived experience of these people. So one study on our own that we did was, a couple of us traveled. So we stay near Himalayas. So there's this whole Himalayan foothill that is there. It falls under the Gadwal region of Uttarakhand. Different regions. So we went on a trip, just like a field work, to understand the climate impact on those places. We went with questionnaires. We learned a little bit of Gadwali to ask, some questions to understand what sort of employment they are doing and how can I sort of help them. And to my utter surprises, many of these villages were empty. They're known as ghost villages of Uttarakhand. They have migrated out. Their houses, no people living.
No people, right? I've heard that, by the way, I've heard that of Kumaon also. Uttarakhand has two parts, no, Gadwal and Kumaon. First time I heard of it was in Kumaon, that they are ghost villages. I'd never heard this term in India, but you have confirmed it. So go ahead.
So these villages, people have migrated. These villages have migrated. There is no employment opportunity there. They have migrated down to Rishikesh, Haridwar, and Dehradun, and Delhi for some migrant laborer work. And they are still, every single day, they are also having this man-animal conflict, the human-animal conflict thing. So there are leopards and elephants and bears attacking people, ripping off people's faces. So this is like the real story of these places. But how we were looking at is that, can we help create an alternative energy source for that village, which would also help them employ themselves and together can help address climate change. So so that was one way of looking at how the goal of transitioning to sustainable development can be done. So this similarly, this is the Himalayan side of the research on sustainable development. Another one that I am doing is on the oceanic front, the maritime front, as I said, which also is taking the things that I'm doing, that the writing that, as I said, it is also trying to synergize policy, media, and academic literature. So I'm writing a book now. We are writing a book together on cooperative sustainable development. So it's a unique concept that we have created, where the book is coming up with Springer on their SDG series. The manuscript is just in the production phase. Probably in 2 or 3 months, this would be out. So what we have argued in the book is that in the next 5 years, we are supposed to reach our SDG goals, but we are not even halfway there. Why? So we had Millennium Development Goals and we had Sustainable Development Goals. Despite all these global goals, why is it that as humans, we are not able to really cooperate and cooperate for a common concern or a shared concern? So that got me thinking, and I have some colleagues with whom I've actually we published 4 papers on the concept, and later we realized that we should actually come up, because research papers have word limits, which and also limitations in the way you can reference and write structurally. But books will give you a better, a wider canvas to really draw your narrative. So that's why we took this medium of the book. And what we are arguing is that we have 17 SDGs, and our focus have always been on the 16 SDGs. The 17th one, which is revitalizing partnerships for achieving these goals, have been completely ignored, whether at the regional level, the national level, or the global level. Hence, the focus of the book is to create a synergy between SDG 17, which is on partnership, SDG 13, which is on climate action, and SDG 7, which is on clean, affordable energy. So we are trying to create a synergy between these 3. And the book essentially argues how Indo-Pacific can create that cooperative sphere. Like ASEAN, for example, have a grid, like one region, one grid. They have one electric grid. It is in the beginning phases, but then that is happening. So can South Asia really replicate something like that? So to study that, I've put up a proposal for a regional residency for my fellowship. So I have received a fellowship called South Asian Futures Fellowship from the CSDR based in Delhi. But my residency proposal to study this possibility got approved. So I'm traveling to Sri Lanka next week to go there. And because Sri Lanka is also going through something similar with a lot of energy insecurity and the financial, huge financial implication also. Now IMF has come and try to save them. But we are also looking at how India and Sri Lanka can cooperate. And there is a huge trust issue because of China's involvement, and they have been burned once, so they don't want to be burned again. So they are also very cautious. But geopolitically, is there a possibility to cooperate and really help build a regional cooperative framework? So that's something that I am studying. So I was invited to Vietnam twice to talk about this concept on cooperative sustainable development and its implications on South China Sea region, especially with China's expansion and its gray zone activities in the region. So Vietnam and Philippines and all these smaller littoral nations in South China Sea is very, very concerned, and also are looking out at other countries like India and all the Quad members, Australia, US, Japan, on possibility of kind of counterbalancing China in the region. So that is another area of, so I feel looking at climate or sustainability in silos will not really help understand the issue at depth, because everything, like every human relationship is governed by politics.
Yes.
There is a power game, whether it's between spouses, between mothers and children, or friendship, professional space. There is definitely a power equation. The moment there's a power equation that comes to play, there is politics.
Mhm.
Similarly, to any climate policy that we look at, there is a reason why that policy has created that shape. It could be even India's foreign policy, for example. We have a particular policy towards Pakistan or China or Israel or US because of domestic factors. There is, of course, a pull of domestic factor that is portrayed in our foreign policy. Similar is every climate policy. So we, in a way, believe that the global scenario is actually pushing because of, let's say, the Paris Agreement or the COP28, or all these things are in a way reflecting our climate goals. But a lot of this really is an interplay of domestic politics and foreign politics. So I want to look at these policies from a geopolitical perspective to really kind of dissect and understand and problematize and critically evaluate it, so that the information is out, and the information can also help the not just the policymakers, but also the people whom it in a way impacts. So for which I do not think political science as a discipline only. Like, that is again the reason why I said most of my writing is not very scholarly in nature. It's not just pure political science theory based sort of a writing. Because I think it has to be interdisciplinary, or now is the time for the words like transdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. That's like the buzzwords. And actually, these are buzzwords for a reason.
Mhm.
And because looking at things in one perspective really do not give you the overall picture of it, then will not help us solve that. So hence political science, public policy, like including foreign policies and international relations, and a bit of management of resources also kind of helps. Hence, during the pandemic, when all of us were stuck at our home, and many education institutions were asking their employees to do Coursera courses and other online courses. So that was a time in which I did an MBA in power management, energy management from UPES itself. So we have an online distance education wing here at the university. So anyway, I thought 2 years, even regular MBA students are studying online.
Yeah.
So that was a time in which I think I got more offline classes because we were still near the campus. And so I got it done. And that again really helped me get a perspective on the energy management sphere in India, because not just the policy perspective, but really how is the energy being managed, whether it's the oil and gas energy sources or the renewable energy sources. So that is again the reason why I said interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary way of looking at things, and not just in silos, are the reasons, are the ways in which we can actually create and impact in the policy sphere. So I think that is overall what I want to say.
Okay, it's very impressive. I must say, you have put a clear perspective on many issues that we face and the world faces. I'll just say that the SDGs, there is really no hope that we will meet them. Not India only, but most countries will not meet the SDGs. Even the UN key people, they concede that SDGs are now on life support. It's not going to happen. Now you can look at it, why and all that. Okay, But that's not my point here. My point is that, look, it's very impressive to hear you talk and to understand how you're looking at things from such a perspective. And I think it's very important that we understand our neighbors. Unfortunately, most educated Indians look only to the West. But that's in our curriculum, that's in our psyche, and I've been saying it for some time now that we are going to be a regional leader, and I use the word leader, not regional gold medalist. Gold medalist doesn't have any interest in the silver medalist and below, but a leader has to have an interest in the people below. If we are going to be a regional leader, then we must know what the people in our region are doing, what they are thinking. And for that reason, I have now, not now, for a long time, been saying, this is not an Indian channel. This is a Desi channel. I don't like the word South Asia because it means nothing to anyone. Desi means everything to everyone. So I've had people from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and they don't come here and represent their countries. It's not an international forum. They represent themselves. Okay, so I am calling it a Desi channel. I'm saying, let's listen to these people. So, one from Afghanistan and so on. So I want this to be a way for young people to not sort of be, stuck in this old-fashioned international, way of functioning. I'm representing India, you are representing Sri Lanka. What the heck? I am a young person and I'm a young Desi and you are a young Desi. Just as we have learned that it doesn't matter whether you are a young Malayali or a young Punjabi, you get together. So why can't we make this all young Desis? The politics of the country, I'm not interested in. Do what the politics your way. But why don't we at least know what's happening? Why don't we know? Because we can claim, oh, we are regional leader. Okay, fine. Do you know anything about your region? No. Do you know anyone in the region? No. Come on, guys. We wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. If we are going to be leading the region, which we should be, I'm saying, yes, we should be, then we need to know the region. And I'm glad to hear from you that you understand Maldives, you're going to Sri Lanka, and the whole focus is on the Indo-Pacific. I guess that excludes Bhutan and Nepal because they're nowhere near the Pacific, but or the Indo.
Mostly the maritime area.
Right. So you're focused on the maritime, but that's a very good start because one day you will wake up and say, why am I only in maritime? What's wrong with land?
Living in Himalayas, I think I will sort of, start looking there also.
Okay. Any advice you have for young people? I mean, you have struggled a lot and you have made your way. So any tips you have for young people?
Yes. So I think whatever has happened in my life positively because I never gave up on education. I think I am still signing up for courses. I am still studying. So whether it's and I remember there was somebody who asked me, why did you choose to do a PhD? Like, because I wanted to become a civil servant also. I wanted to do civil service when I was younger. And I said, I don't want to be a Mrs. I want to be a doctor. I don't know why. I don't want to just be identity of somebody's wife or somebody's daughter or son, but be doctor also says that you're an expert of something, right? Or a philosopher of something. So that really appealed to me on a very, narrow-minded way, but then it really did, So I think not giving up on education. Anytime you feel sad, do a course. Upskill yourself. Keep on upskilling. There is no age limit to learning. and learning makes you feel younger, look younger, and and really keep yourself active. But also as youth of the 21st century, a time in which all of us are in this scrolling sphere. Like I've kind of deactivated all my social media since last one and a half year now, except LinkedIn, because I keep that for my professional growth. I don't share anything else except my professional journey there, and I'm very consciously consuming content even in LinkedIn. I believe for all of us, whether it's the youth or the adults, it's so important to invest in some mindfulness activity in a day. I can keep on saying that I want to create an impact in other people's life. I want to make the world a different place. But if I am living a very sad, bitter life, I am angry at other people, I am so judgmental of everyone, then I cannot, no matter how much I will keep acting, I will not be able to make an impact.
Okay.
The change happens here, creating an alignment between what I feel, what I think, and what I do. And the only way in which we can do it is through some mindfulness activity. It could be grounding ourselves, it could be meditation, it could be journaling, could be finding space to be present. And I think as youth of this very chaotic, too much of in transition time, that's primary to do some mindfulness activity, and always doing some course. It's not hustling, it is to always learn something new, because some part of like your brain. So because I went to Vietnam twice and I fell in love with Vietnam, I started doing a learn Vietnamese course in Duolingo. I don't know why, like there's this ad, right? A bulb jala diya sort of a thing. So some part of my brain, something ignited. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to ever talk in Vietnamese, but it's that I am saying. It's just not more than 10 minutes in a day, but even that helps.
Okay. Well, I think we had agreed that you would speak something in Malayalam. So let me just remind you that here is a chance.
So I am not prepared it, but I am
from
so
your heart.
Glad you're doing
You don't
this.
have to prepare it. Yes. From your heart.
I am so glad you're doing this. നമ്മുടെ കാട്, നമ്മുടെ നാട്, നമ്മുടെ പുഴ, നമ്മുടെ കടൽ. നമ്മൾക്ക് നമ്മുടെ ഭാവിയിലേക്ക് നമുക്ക് വേറെ ഒന്നുമില്ല. ഇതൊക്കെ ഉള്ളൂ. ഇതിനെ പ്രൊട്ടക്ട് ചെയ്യാനും ഇതിനെപ്പറ്റി എഴുതാനും ഇതിനെപ്പറ്റി സംസാരിക്കാനും നമ്മൾ മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഒരു വളരെ പ്രായം കുറഞ്ഞ ഫ്യൂച്ചർ നമ്മളുടേതാണ് ഫ്യൂച്ചർ. അപ്പൊ നമ്മളാണ് ആ ഫ്യൂച്ചർ എങ്ങനെയാണ് എന്നുള്ളത് എഴുതേണ്ടത്. എഴുതാനുള്ള എല്ലാ സാധനങ്ങളും നമ്മുടെ കയ്യിലുണ്ട്, എല്ലാ ടൂൾസും നമ്മുടെ കയ്യിലുണ്ട്. അത് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മൾ അപ്ഡേറ്റ് ആയിട്ടിരിക്കുക, അപ്സ്കിൽ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുക. ഇങ്ങനെ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ആസ് എ സൊസൈറ്റി നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരുമിച്ച് പ്രോഗ്രസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. നമ്മൾ ഒരാള് പ്രോഗ്രസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതുകൊണ്ട് ഒരാളുടെ വീടോ ഒരാളുടെ കുടുംബമോ അങ്ങനെയല്ല. നമ്മൾ എല്ലാവരും ഒരുമിച്ച് ഒരു കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി പോലെ ആയിരിക്കും മുന്നോട്ട് പോകാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്. ഞാനത് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യാത്തത് കൊണ്ട് എന്റെ മനസ്സിൽ ആദ്യം വന്നത് ഞാൻ പറയുകയാണ്. നമ്മള് കണ്ണ് തുറന്ന് മനസ്സ് തുറന്ന് നമ്മുടെ ചുറ്റും നടക്കുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം കണ്ട്, കാണാത്ത പോലെ കണ്ട സാധനം കാണുക, കണ്ണടച്ച് പോവാതെ അതിനെപ്പറ്റി എന്താ നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുക, എഴുതാൻ പറ്റുമെങ്കിൽ എഴുതാം. പാട്ട് എഴുതുന്നവരുണ്ടാവും, കവിത എഴുതുന്നുണ്ടാവും, സംസാരിക്കാൻ കഴിവുള്ളവരുണ്ടാവും, പടം വരയ്ക്കാൻ അറിയാവുന്നവരുണ്ടാവും. ഏത് സോഴ്സോ ഏത് മീഡിയമോ അത് മാറ്റർ ചെയ്യത്തില്ല. പക്ഷെ കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുക അങ്ങോട്ടും ഇങ്ങോട്ടും. നമ്മുടെ ഹോൾ സ്പീഷീസ് മുന്നോട്ട് പോയത് നമ്മൾ തമ്മിൽ നല്ലോണം കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് കൊണ്ടാണ്, ബിറ്റ്വീൻ അസ്. അത് മുന്നോട്ട് കൊണ്ടുപോവുക. ഇനിയും നമ്മളും നമ്മുടെ ഭാവി തലമുറയും ഒക്കെ മുന്നോട്ട് പോകണമെങ്കിൽ അത് മാത്രമേ ഒരു വഴി ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ. നന്ദി. എനിക്ക് ഭയങ്കര സന്തോഷമുണ്ട് മലയാളത്തിൽ സംസാരിക്കുന്നതിന്. Sir, I did it.
Wonderful,
I
wonderful.
I felt very happy.
Okay,
Though I
I'm
was
very
not, I had
happy.
not
I'm very
prepared, and
happy because we need to know what India is. We can't just pretend it's not there. Okay. Anything else you want to add here?
no, sir, actually, thank you so much for this platform. And I know you have done around 400, 500 videos, and because I was looking at it, and very, very different people, different personalities, different sphere of influence, and different languages also.
Yeah.
So it's a wide variety of people you're bringing together in a platform and giving them this opportunity, which is a super. Actually, I'm talking about impact. You are really creating an impact, and thank you so much for this. Because if you know, by asking these questions and giving this platform, you're also making us think, right? Because when I came here and I knew I have to tell my story, I thought about it. I started reflecting on something. So
Yeah.
I think that is really helpful, that you and your videos and the people, the kind of people you're bringing are also really change makers. And that's really, really helpful. And
Okay.
thank you so
Well,
much
I'm glad
for
you have
this.
said this, but okay, let's end it here today. I'll be back with another young person or an expert soon. Bye till then, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.